all shaggy here. So, as you can see, actually, kind of hard to see. Anyways, it's fall outside. And I want to cover for one of my topics for videos today is, over the past year or so, I've seen it's BMW, Yamaha, and Honda did one too. They're doing autonomous motorcycles. Now, I saw an article on the BMW one that really made me decide, okay, we got to talk about this just a little bit. So, saw on all the Facebook comments that people were just flipping out. Well, I don't need an autonomous motorcycle. I don't want it to drive myself. That takes away being a rider. Okay, I get you. Trust me, I do. So, but here's the thing: it's not designed to replace the rider. It's more of we're just trying to push technology. So, one of the questions I've gotten is, well, what exactly is it improving on? Well, and this all comes down to how do we want to implement it. So with Honda, one of the things I saw they were doing it had a stability assist, kind of. It was to keep it upright. Like they showed the video, the guy was just standing on it, and he was fine, comfortable. Like it didn't lean or anything. Basically, it's just to keep it upright. It was an upright assist. I apologize. Once again, cool idea, but the problem is with most motorcycles, that's how you turn them. So, don't get me wrong, there is a market for it. I mean, I definitely think you could use that. I mean, guys with gold wings or anything like that. I think at a certain point it should kick in, if you would. Like, have a point where you think it's about to drop, pick it up. I mean, obviously you would have to have sensors for low speeds. I'm not sure how you'd implement that into a public bike. That's why they're testing it on these autonomous motorcycles. Yamaha's, it really seemed like they wanted to scare people. They were like, it said like they were going, I think it had like this little video saying like, I'm coming after you. Like it was meant to go after Rossi.
I am MOTOBOT. I was created to surpass you. For 3 years, I have grown.
So I was like, okay, that's interesting. I didn't really get what vibe they were trying to exactly go for with making safety. I didn't really see what they were going into with that. I'd honestly have to look into it more. But it came across pretty freaking scary. Like I was designed purposely to come after you. And it was really interesting because like with a lot of these robotics I've seen on motorcycles, they don't look like, they're not really meant to resemble a human, if you would, or a person riding. Yamaha's actually looks like a small person in full tuck huddling the bike and going for it. And I think it was on an R6, and they showed it turning, they showed it blasting down a straight. Like, it's clearly coherent enough to learn how to drive. But with BMWs, one of theirs and theirs is a little more interesting. It didn't, I mean, obviously they showed it on, I think it was a GS 1200. So they could essentially put all the tech for testing inside the luggage bags and everything. But with theirs, I was a little more curious as to what's going on with that. They're going for, it's like they showed it parks itself, it can drive and from a stop, which is interesting, but you know, there's just one thing. You got to put the kickstand down. I think they did take care of that though. I mean, I'm sure a simple robotic actuator or a solenoid can switch that or push it out with the right amount of power. But the purpose of, once again, of these bikes is to push safety towards them, because, you know, even like they were talking about in the video from, I think it was In the Know Innovation posted it, you know, not the best source, but they were talking about it. So with BMWs, they said, like, you know, they wanted to incorporate like a lane keeping assistant. What else did they wanted to do? It was lane keeping and emergency braking, like right now. So they wanted, I could have made that, I'm so mad about that, but anyways, they wanted to do emergency braking and lane keeping assistance. So it's really cool to see that. But just like with the upright assist from Honda, how do you plan to implement it? How is it going to be implemented? Like, okay, putting that shit on like a Goldwing, like imagine that on a Honda Goldwing, you know, like those things are pretty wide. Like something like that, okay, a lane keeping assistant probably isn't the worst idea. Not that I really think you ever had to worry about that. Can't say I've ever seen a Honda Goldwing driver have any issues with keeping in the lane, but I'm sure someone may argue otherwise. So yeah, they wanted to do lane keeping assistant for that emergency braking, and I'm sure there's another aspect of it, but essentially that was my little bit on that. We don't need to panic about it. Everyone's getting so scared about it, like, you know, oh, they're ruining motorcycles and all that. It's like, no, they're trying to make them safer. They've pushed technology like this before. I mean, like, hell, ABS is something we've had for quite some time. Obviously, it didn't take an autonomous motorcycle to have it tested, but, and that's another argument I've had with people as well, is that, you know, do we really need ABS in bikes? I mean, all of both of my bikes I've driven haven't had ABS. I'm not saying you don't need it. I'm not saying you do. It really comes down to what are you comfortable with. So, once again, these little assists, obviously you're going to see them in the higher end bikes. Like, okay, a Goldwing has like a reverse gear. It has like navigation. It has forms of traction control, different power modes. So like usually the higher end bikes, like even the Gixxer, I think, is the multiple traction controls and sport modes. They let you dial in the power and such, which is great in a sense. It allows you to be more, you can play with it a little bit, but once again, the purists aren't going to be for that. I mean, that's why they're purists. They want simple, they want an original. I get it, but that's just the problem. Is like, you know, they're trying to make bikes more accessible for people, and I get that, you know, like, but as we have to remind people, you know, the easier you make access them, it's kind of like with cars. People have the mindset is, you know, but like a Tesla, you know, the thing has autopilot, and people feel with all these assists and even the car driving itself, it takes away from people paying attention and such like that. And a lot of people don't get that. Like, you know, you still need to be responsible behind the wheel or the handlebars in this case. It's interesting because it's technology. We're definitely getting in the future here, but once again, it comes down to the fact that, you know, what are you marketing towards? How are you going to implement it? What is the market not value, but like you understand what I'm saying. What do you want to put it in? What kind of bikes is this going to be pertaining to? Obviously, it's going to be the higher end bikes at first. That's usually how technology works. The higher end stuff will get it, and then the lower end stuff will get it slowly. Like, I mean, it took us a while to get fuel injection motorcycles, but once again, didn't need a robot to do it. So that's what we're really pushing for, is it's just to push for safety technology in motorcycles, and I really think that's a great thing. I mean, motorcycles are dangerous. As I tell people, you know, for every bit of reward you get out of a motorcycle, there is plenty of risk to follow it. So, I mean, yeah, making them more accessible is making people not realize that at the same time, but I don't know, I feel like for some motorcycles it could help reduce accidents as the intention of these companies. But once again, we're going to have to wait and see. I mean, it's technology that's still unfolding and still getting put together. So, thank you for watching my little tidbit on that technology share there. I'll glad to share the links for the videos and below. Thanks, and have a good one. Peace out, y'all.